Welcome to Basics with the Petersons. I'm Tim Peterson, and today it's a beautiful, gorgeous day here in Western Oregon. Sunny Saturday, a little bit chilly this morning when we got up for this area. There's a little bit of frost on the ground, but it's supposed to be clear, sunny, and absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to take advantage of that and really take you through some steps for a hack that I kind of thought of on my own here. We have several fruit trees on our property, and we're actually planting more. We currently have 7 that are producing. We have some pear trees, a couple apple, a plum tree, and 1 peach tree. And we're going to end up expanding that from 7 trees to probably about 13 or 14 over the next year or two. We go through about 2.5 months of drought around here. Basically, if we get any rain, it's very light. It doesn't penetrate into the soil at all. Our grass goes dormant, turns brown and goes dormant because of the dryness. So during that period of time, when our fruit trees are producing the fruit and needing that moisture, during that time, we end up coming short on rainfall and water to fill the fruit. So I need to get moisture down into the root system for each one of our trees. So to do that, I've looked at Amazon and found some tree watering spikes. Those spikes are about 14 inches long, you can see, and you pound them down into the ground, and that allows moisture to get down to the root zone to keep them moist during the dry parts of the season. The cheapest I found was around $18 per spike, and that was, when you're dealing with the amount of trees that we want to have in our orchard, it really is expensive to make happen. So I've kind of thought up as a way to solve that problem was to tackle it with what I'm calling the PVC spikes, or whatever you want to call it. They do not come to a point, but this is what I've kind of put together, and I'm going to kind of go through that with you today on how I make these. Welcome to my work area. What we have here, this is it up and close. So what I've done here is basically taken PVC, 1 inch schedule 40 PVC, ended up gluing 1 inch, one end that's capped, and then I've left the other end open so that I can utilize this end. The size on it, what I have is basically it's about 13 inches. My goal was about 12 inches, and then add the caps to it. What I'm going to end up doing, I think, in the next, I've made 5 of these, and I'm putting them in. But what I'm going to do with the next batch that I end up building, I'll end up making it quite a bit longer. I'll probably end up making them at least 16 to 18 inches long, just so I can get that deep penetration to mature trees and get the moisture down into it. My whole thought process with this is basically on this end cap, you can see how I have it kind of grooved here, and it's grooved as well as on the pipe itself. And what I'm planning on doing is basically putting a drip tube in through this and setting it just inside, and it's a 4 gallon per hour drip, and putting 2 of these, I'll call them spikes, they're not really spikes, but 2 of these spikes per tree, so I'll get 8 gallons per hour. And then once a week I will water it. If it's really dry out, maybe I'll do a back-to-back, a Sunday, Monday, so that that water can disperse overnight, and then the next day I add some more. And then it's good. The trees are good for a week and a half before I need to do it again. So what I did is basically drilled, these are 1/8 inch holes all the way through the PVC, and I just randomly did it all the way around the PVC pipe, so that the water is dispersed evenly all the way through the soil. I made 4 of these, and I'm going to go out and show you how I put these into the ground here in a second. But the upgrades I'm going to make to these, now that I have done this once or twice and put them in, the 1/8 inch holes are great. I would continue to have as many 1/8 inch holes. What I'm going to do on the next batch, I'll make about 8 or 10 more of these. The upgrade that I'm going to do is do as many 1/8 inch holes that I have, but also will end up doing 3/16 holes randomly on here as well. Not as many as the 1/8 inch holes, but the 3/16. That will allow water to dissipate quicker. The thought with this also is I'm going to put some fertilizer, nutrient stuff that down into this the pipe, and then put water in it, and that will also distribute down in the root zone of a tree, so that the fertilizer can get to the root zone where it needs to be. But basically, I glued the one in. The cap does have holes in it, and the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to put that 3/16 hole on the very end of it, so that it has a larger area to disperse on the bottom. But basically that's it. It's pretty cheap. I don't remember what I paid for these 1-inch, but probably the caps on both ends are about $1.30. I bought them at Home Depot. And then you can buy 1-inch, 10-foot long 1-inch pipe, probably for about $4 or $5 a stick, and that's 10 feet. And basically this is going to hopefully solve my problems and issues with the dry season during, as far as getting enough moisture to the apple trees, the peach trees, that type of stuff as I can. So before we go out and put this into the ground, let me show you what my method of getting it into the ground is. My first try at this, I initially had a wood stake that I bore into or pounded into the ground, and then I was going to bring it out and put this in and then kind of pound this into the ground. That was not successful. I came across this auger, and it's called a planting auger, and I'll show you the Amazon link right now. And basically what it is, it's 16 inches long, 1.6 inches in diameter. So basically when I bore this into the ground, it will probably take up to almost a 2-inch pipe if I really want to put a 2-inch pipe. But I want to have enough ground or enough clearance that this would go in fairly easy and smoothly. But basically, I put this into the ground, and then after I make my hole, then I pound this or put this into the ground, and it just slides right in. So let's go out and tackle that right now. So this is our orchard, what I call an orchard. Right now we have basically 7 trees that we have producing fruit. We got 2 pears, 2 apples, and then this is a plum tree, and there's a peach tree over there as well. So this is the stuff that we want to grow during the dry season and have them produce as much fruit as possible, so we can dry it down and put it into vacuum packed bags and eat year round. So let me basically at each base one of these I'm putting in drip tube system that will run and feed all these trees, as well as we're going to expand it out probably up to at the far end there towards that what my wife likes to call the chicken coop, but I'll expand several more trees down there. We'll probably have a total of 12 to 14 trees when it's all said and done. So let me kind of at the base of each one is where I'm going to end up having 2 of the drip pipes or drip spikes, whatever you want to call it, in order to get down to the root zone. So let me kind of show you how I do it now. So what I have here is I'm going to put both these watering pipes or watering spikes, whatever you want to call them, into the ground. And what I'm planning on doing is putting them at an angle, 180 degrees off each other, so that and pointing towards the roots, towards the trunk of the tree, just to hopefully disperse it more disperse the water more in the general area of what the tree is needing, so that they can utilize if I put fertilizer in it or the water that's going to go in it, that type of stuff. One thing I found out when I use this auger, this drill bit auger, is that it will catch and pull you in really easy. Fortunately, there's a reverse on this drill. So what I do is go down a little bit and pull out, down a little bit, just kind of like if you're digging fence post holes with a 3-point hitch post hole digger. So I go down just a little bit and then make sure I keep coming out, because sometimes it will catch and go all the way down. So this is kind of how I do it. And then right now the soil is very wet, so it's very muddy. So I gotta kind of clean off. Yeah, see? Kick it off, go down a little bit further, kick it off. If this were totally dry, we have very clay type soil. So if this were not a wet January morning, we'd end up having a little bit easier way to do this. Goes off. But one thing I will say, is a much cheaper way to do this than buying them from Amazon or pop this. I'll probably do it just one more time. Get all the mud off of it. And one thing that's nice about this, if you notice from that link that I showed you on this auger drill bit, they do make them in wider diameters as well as lengthwise too. So you can get, it's quite an array. I was pretty impressed when I found them and so forth. But so you can go bigger pipe if that suits you better. But basically, I just take it, make sure the cap end that I pull off is open. I'm gonna end up running drip tubes this way across this top side of the tree. So I want to have access for this with the drip tube coming down here. So I put it in that direction and basically just take it and shove it in to the hole. I lightly put the cap on and it's there. So that when I put the drip tubes, I just hook it into here. That cap comes off. It's fairly easy. Over time, the rain will come in, the soil will come in and pack it in. If I ever have problems with it coming out, I can go and do that. But the soil will end up eventually solidifying around it and keeping that spike or this pipe in the ground like where I want it. But I'm leaving it about 1.5 inches or 2 inches up above. That's why I think I'm gonna make a longer pipe next time I do this. But that's basically it. I end up putting that into the ground. I'm gonna finish my drip tube system. I'm gonna go and put a 4 gallon per hour drip tube in there, and then once a week basically I'll run the drip tube system and we'll keep moisture down in the ground like I need to. So thank you for joining me today on Basics with the Petersons. Today hopefully I solved an issue that I deal with every summer with the dryness in our fruit trees, and by utilizing some PVC pipe, some caps, and getting a method of getting moisture down into the root zone with my fruit trees. So if you like this video, please click like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and join me next time with Basics with the Petersons.